इस हफ्ते के ऑन कॉल विथ में मेरे साथ एक बहुत ही इम्पॉर्टेंट इंसान है, इम्पॉर्टेंट फॉर द इंडस्ट्री, क्योंकि अक्सर हम लोग क्रेडिट दे देते हैं किसी फिल्म की सक्सेस का टू द एक्टर्स और प्रोबेबली द डायरेक्टर, बट एक्चुअली एक व्यक्ति होता है जिसकी पूरी फोकस, कॉन्सेप्ट और पैसा लगा होता है, विच इज़ द प्रोड्यूसर। और अगर हम सक्सेसफुल प्रोड्यूसर्स की बात करें तो हम कैसे भूल सकते हैं दैट वन प्रोडक्शन हाउस मैडॉक फिल्म्स। और मैडॉक फिल्म्स की अगर इस रीसेंट सक्सेस की बात करें तो उन्होंने बनाई है फिल्में सच एज छावा, स्त्री 2, मुंजिया, भेड़िया और अब आ रही है थामा, विच इज़ आयुष्मान खुराना एंड रश्मिका मंदाना। तो मैडॉक इज रियली हिट इट आउट ऑफ द पार्क। जब अभी रिसेंटली बॉलीवुड वाज कंप्लीटली गोइंग डाउन द स्लोप, उन्होंने अकेले पुल कर लिया उसको वापस, एंड probably they could be credited with bringing the industry back on track. So today we have the founder of Maddock Films with us and a really successful producer of a production house जिसको शायद आजकल कहा जा रहा है कि वो अगला YRF या अगला धर्मा हो सकते हैं. I'm very happy to welcome Dinesh Vijan. Hi Dinu, welcome to The Right Angle.
Thank you so much.
Well, Dinu, I must tell you that we've come to nearly the end of the second season of The Right Angle, or you're the first producer in both the seasons. You're the first producer who I'm interviewing in this segment because बहुत इच्छा थी कि हम सुने from the person who actually conceptualizes and envisions the whole thing. और जिस तरह से Maddock Films जो है वो वापस से लोगों को खींच के ले आई है थिएटर में. So I really mean to ask you about the vision that you have for your production house. And on that note, I also want to congratulate you for the response that Thama has been getting. I mean, it is tremendous. So, what keeps you going? ये कहाँ से आ रहा है आपका ये conviction?
The conviction, I think, comes from gut. I think if you, the most important decision you make is which film to make, right? The rest is logistics. So I think that choice of story is very important. And I think what we have to understand is that we cannot take any viewer for granted. We need to understand this. There's a new India out there who's pretty important and who wants stories about themselves. They're not aspirational to the West. And I think you got to make it an experience because it's not, it requires a lot of effort. You got to get into a car, you got to drive, you got to find time, you know, have to buy so many things. It's not as cheap as it used to be. And you go in. So if you can give them wholesome entertainment, what I mean is, you know, a communal watch, it helps. And I think people today want, I don't think a good film will do for them. Like I have a line in the company, I always say we need to be unique and audacious. So I think people want to also be surprised in the theater. They want to go in and want to get more than they're bargaining for. And if you can do that, so it'll all come back to what you decide to make. We're fortunate that we're getting to make the films we are making. I think God is kind.
तो दिनो इस पे मुझे कमर्शियल्स पे भी एक क्वेश्चन है कि जब आप बजट कैसे डिसाइड करते हो, लाइक ऑन द वन हैंड यू मेकिंग ग्रैंड स्केल फिल्म्स लाइक चावा, देन यू हैव ऑन द अदर साइड अ मिमी और अ लुका छुपी और अ भूल चूक माफ जिनका बजट कम रहता है. एंड अनदर इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग इज कि आप अपनी फिल्मों में you're not aiming for the A++ or the Shahrukhs of the world. You're happy taking a Pankaj Tripathi, a Kriti Sanon, a Vicky Kaushal, which also turns out to be quite a wise decision. तो ये कैसे वर्कआउट होता है कि आप किस फिल्म में कितना पैसा स्पेंड करेंगे?
So I feel that, you know, कहानी छोटी या बड़ी नहीं होती. There's a relevance of a story, that how many people is it relevant to, and that's our core lens with which we look at it, and that decides the budget. While I say that, I had told someone recently that we actually think of money last, because if we and that's why we end up making money. Our bets, which are the most illogical, have actually fallen. Like Chava, at the scale we made it, it was also about survival at that point of time. You know, we had to change the cinematic experience. And if you look at it, Vicky Kaushal, me, Lakshman Uttekar have never made a historic film. We've never done it. So technically, it's not the safe film, right? It's not the right formula, but that fired. So I think if you had to have a formula today, take that odd bet. It might be safer than the most logical safe films because the audience is also evolving. And one thing I don't like to do is I don't like repeating ourselves. For example, we don't want to make a sequel or a film in the universe just because it makes logical sense. With that case, we should be doing Chava 2 and Stree 3 right now. But we are bringing Thama because, and the good part about Thama, I'll jump topics, is that if you've seen nothing, Like I can tell you that there are two things. One, when you decide to tell a story and when you finally sit in that room alone and watch the film. And I'm so kicked to show it because everything we wanted to do has happened and we've somehow succeeded in not showing anything. Like when that film comes on, we'll take you for a journey. We'll take you to a world. And I think it's a fantastic film. And that doesn't come very easily for me to say. But what has happened is a lot of people have cumulatively given it so much. And I think when you spoke about actors, for me, actors not big and small. The difference I've done is I've worked with actors more than I've worked with stars. And I think, like I was talking to Nawaz Bhai, who's in this film yesterday, and I think he's an exceptional actor and you have to see what he's done. He's crazy in the film. So I'm like, Jay.
No, I'm just saying that the casting itself is, really fresh. Like Ayushmann on the one side, and then there's Rashmika, and then Nawazuddin Siddiqui. तो ये बहुत ही unique सा combination है. तो the three of them leading the script, ये कैसे हुआ?
So I wanted to. So I'll tell you what I feel like. Our culture is so enriched that there are so many stories that I believe. Like I jokingly asked someone, who does the Kohinoor belong to? And it's, the person who took it or the guy where it was found. So I feel a lot of the Western films, superhero, all of it actually are borrowed from our culture. So, we'll think, there are vampires, but our legend of Betal is older than the vampire legend. So we have our own rules. Our vampire you can see can come out in the sun. It's not happy, but he can come out. His reflection also you can see. I have only two barometers. I love working with actors who are at the top of their game, even if life's not been kind. And I like working with good human beings. That really makes the atmosphere on set so beautiful.
You said at some point in the interview that you don't like repetitiveness, but the moment you have, and Maddock has what is called a horror comedy universe, the moment you use the term universe, aren't you kind of bunching a kind of films together? तो वो थोड़ा सा contradictory नहीं हो जाता? And what do you think would make people want to come to theaters for a horror comedy universe?
Someone very wise told me that, when you're making films, keep them in a box. And it was a gentleman called Chuck Rowan who produces all of Christopher Nolan's films. He's done most of them. And he told me this, he told Deepika and me this in 2012. And it stayed with me. So when Stree happened, I understood there should be an ability to meet. Don't change the physics if you want some people to meet. That's how the idea of the universe came. The way I look at it is, I'm from a joint family. We love a big family atmosphere. So the universe is a family. And it's got different kind of characters. No one's similar. So when you watch Thama, you'll realize it's nothing like Munja. And we are finding characters that are... So even the family drama, if you look at it, the father-son conflict here is very different to the father-son conflict in Stree. So as long as you don't try and repeat the same equations, like Stree's three bunch of friends. It's a bunch of friends. The other is a brother, a cousin and him who happen to be from Stree, go into forests. Munja is like, I like this girl, but even Munja likes this girl. What's going to happen? It's a triangle. And here, I'm trying to hold back because the film really, even on a quality level, when you watch the film, it's really superlative. It's really, really nice. So if you look at it, it should be connected, but it should not be similar, and we are conscious about it. So that's what we're trying to do. But so what happens when you have a big family, you have a lot of family politics, right? And you're really interested while having chai, kisne kya kiya. So that's what the universe is. And I really feel that more in Delhi right now, because I spoke to a few people yesterday and I was so happy to see that actually they made this their universe. They have their own theories. What's going to happen? Like, what is Stree's relationship with Munja? What's going to happen? And we're also conscious with it, and we have a team evolving it. So I think because we love a big fat family, that's why the universe, being conscious that every character is special in its own right, and don't let them, not one size fits all.
No, I completely agree. And I also like the idea of people having their own sort of versions, translations of what the universe is all about. That adds a lot of excitement to the whole thing.
We're trying to take some of that In fact, I'm realizing, I told my team, please they're coming up with such great ideas. Some of them we should use going forward.
तो ये एक तरफ तो हॉरर कॉमेडी हो रहा है और उसके साथ यू हैव नाउ रिलीज्ड द फर्स्ट लुक ऑफ 21, which is your next film, which is Lieutenant Arun Khetarpal's story, a soldier's story. And you know, people are really loving the look. And again, a unique casting with Agastya Nanda and Simar Bhatia's debut. So, what do you have to say to that? And also, लोग typically तो October, November, December में festive type की films release करते हैं. So, how have you decided to come out with 21 in December?
We've just put a look out. So I believe that generally Diwali November में आती थी last 1-2 साल से, right? तो November December हो जाता था. Diwali इस बार October में आई है. Actually, if you look at it, Animal also came in December.
Yeah.
Sam Manekshaw also came in December.
Right.
You know, so I feel that between two festive seasons, a film like this can come.
Nice. That's a good thought.
That's the idea on the date. But I've just finished the trailer, and we're trying to find the exact date in December. And we don't want to clash with anyone, because I don't know if you know this, I've loved this story for 7 years. I got hit with COVID, and that's where we couldn't start. And I narrated to Sriram Raghavan about 6-7 years ago, and he's generally written his own material, and he brings it to you, right? And he just, he had a tear in his eye, and he went out, and the idea was to do Badlapur 2 or this. And he said, let's make this. Then and also there's Dharamji also in the film, and there's a father-son track also. And for me, it was almost like I felt I'm making this film for for my father, in my mind. And it's again like Chhaava, a completely illogical film in that sense of how it's put together. But I can tell you, it's one of the finest films that we've ever made. Sriram Raghavan is in top form. He has taken actually a chisel with Agastya and Simar, and they are pitch perfect. And it's a film that you will watch and you'll be so proud of. And also, he was 21 years old. Arun Khetarpal is, like the line was, wo 21 ka tha, 21 ka hi rahega. But it's almost inspirational to the youth that look what he did at 21. And if subconsciously we can do that, like being honorable is not overrated. And even Simar's character for, in the true story, that she waited for him forever. She didn't go. It's, these are things we talk about, like, and because I have 2 young kids, I want to try and not do anything that even when they're older, when they watch anything that we've done, at least since they're born, since 4 years, they should be proud of it. And that's the only thing, I'm honestly aspiring for. And I think 21 is on top of that list.
Dinu, I think that what you've got right is the fact that you're not undermining the intelligence of the audience. Because jahan pe bhi audience na pichle 2-3 saal mein itni evolve ho gayi hai that if they realize that a film has a cerebral quality and there is no attempt to undermine their basic common sense and intelligence, it works with them. It resonates with the audience. And I think in all of your films, in all of Maddock films, maybe at the script reading level itself, there is that intelligence of audience that's been kept into account, and that's clearly working. In fact, my team's been asking me to ask you also about Cocktail 2, because that's also another really intelligent film, and the sequel is on the cards. और उसकी casting आपने announce किया, which is rather unique, which is Kriti Sanon and Shahid and Rashmika. So, is there something about Cocktail 2 that you want to tell us about?
Hanji, so Cocktail is just shot its outdoor schedule and come back. This time the characters are based right here in Delhi. There's a Delhi couple. They go on a holiday, and it's Love Ranjan has partnered with me on it. He's written it. He's producing it with me, and Homi Adajania has directed it. And I think he's got an exceptional visual sense, and he's the only person who I'd say more crazy than me. And I think from what I've initially seen, when you see that unit, please do call me. I'd love to know what you think, but it's bursting of energy. It's just visually something else. So that's why I thought that, we should even give to the audience a little before, so that they also get the idea what's coming when with us.
Right Angle with Sonal Kalra.